This is Jessica.
And this is Kelly. And this is the Chasing Brighter
podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode. We're so excited to have with us our friend Katie Rizzo of Rizzo Hospitality. Katie was raised in a big family with 4 younger brothers and loved cooking from a young age. She attended the Culinary Institute of America for baking and pastry and received a bachelor's degree in management. She's worked at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills and the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas. Along with her husband, Nicholas, who is also a trained chef, they have Rizzo Hospitality, in which they have private chef services, and they also offer cooking classes for adults as well as for children. We're so excited to have you. Welcome, Katie.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we'd love to just hear, a little bit about your business, Rizzo Hospitality, what inspired you to become a private chef.
Absolutely. So just a little bit about how my husband and I met. So I actually was working here in Las Vegas, and I knew that if I didn't stop working as a manager, I was never going to find my husband. And my parents relocated to Maine about almost 10 years ago. So I moved out to Maine, and I ended up working for a 5-star 5-diamond inn in Kennebunkport called the White Barn Inn. And my husband actually was there on a J1 visa. So he was in the kitchen, and I ended up taking a job as a water girl. So I went from managing 300 employees in the bars to literally pouring water out of a sterling silver pitcher. Yeah, it was really a trip. And I was like literally praying, what am I doing here? And when I met Nicholas, it was like we knew. It was crazy. We had kind of been waiting and not dating anyone, just waiting for the right person. And 7 months later, after we had met, we were married.
Wow.
So we went through the green card process, and he couldn't really work during that. It was pretty much about a year that he couldn't work. But we decided we knew we always wanted to do private events, and because we love fine dining and bringing that to people's homes, like 4 or 5 course meals, where we would do wine pairings. We love that. And we also love teaching. So that's kind of how we looped in cooking classes and getting to know people in the community. That's how we kind of got started in Maine. And then we ended up getting pregnant with our first one. Her name is Constance, and she is she's funny. She's taking a nap right now. Thank goodness. So we got pregnant with her, and we knew we wanted to be somewhere warmer, a little less seasonal, just because Maine is so cold. And there's people that live there, of course, year round, but we really just wanted somewhere warm. And I always knew I wanted to come back to Vegas. And actually, funny enough, I always brought Nico here when it was cold during the winter. And the week that we moved here, it was July 2021, and it was like 118 that whole week. So I was like, welcome to Vegas.
And are you from Vegas originally?
No, I just moved here after. So I worked at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills, like you mentioned. And I had a colleague that had worked there also, and he started working at the Cosmopolitan. We actually went to school together as well. And he was like, you have to come to the Cosmo. It's so great. They're so innovative, and like just the cocktails, everything is just, the food program's so amazing. So I was ready to leave LA, and I moved here, and I loved it so much. So yeah, that's kind of how I was in Las Vegas. So, yeah.
And you said that your husband is originally from Northern Italy. Was he from Italy to Maine? Was that his first place in States, or?
It was his second time. So a J1 visa is more like a student visa, and he was kind of on the older side for the student visa for what that position was. But he just loves America so much, and he actually submitted his resume through the like reservation application from the front of house, and then he ended up getting a call back from the chef. So he made a reservation to get his resume. Yeah, so he got called back really fast, and it was his second time back in the U.S. at that same location. He is from Northern Italy. He wasn't a fan of the cold, but he was just so happy to be here and be in the U.S.
Well, because I was going to say culturally, the desert is very, very different than Maine, right? Which obviously is different than Italy. But we have such an incredible food culture here.
Mhm.
I mean, that has to be exciting. We have some of the best restaurants here too. So that, I don't know, is that fun being a chef and trying out other people's food?
Absolutely. I think for him, I mean, he enjoys doing that sort of thing, but also he just loves how we live over here. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like just driving down the strip or seeing all the mountains, like there's so much that you can do here. He's from a really small town, and it's just every day he's just like, wow, I live in Las Vegas. Wow. It's just so, it's so cool for him. So, yeah, he's really happy to be here and loves the opportunities. They're just endless in the US. So,
yeah, well, it's crazy too. Like, I feel like I would have never thought I would live in Vegas. I've been here 14 years. And if you were like, you're going to live in Vegas, there's like no way. And I was never a big city person. Kelly was always she was always saying she's going to live in a big city. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then, our parents moved here in 2006. Anyway, we ended up being here. But then when I travel the world, it's like, we're spoiled. We are so spoiled here. We have access to everything. And being a 24/7 town, I'll be like, oh, let's go. If we're traveling, I'm like, oh, I forgot something. Like, let me go to the store at like 11 p.m. and the whole town's dead. And you're like, oh, like places aren't open. They don't have every single thing ever 24/7 for you. So you're right. I mean, it is wonderful.
It's a huge melting pot of cultures, though. And it's like richer and more diverse than really, I feel like a lot of cities, like, sure, Chicago has its traditions of stuff, but like, I feel like Vegas, you have a lot of people who've just moved there from literally all over the world. And you can get any cuisine that's like nearly authentic. Too. Do you feel that way, Katie?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, I think the coolest thing is raising our daughter in an environment that is just so culturally different. I mean, we have kids cooking classes, all sorts of kids from different ages, different walks of life. And I think for her to be involved and see and interacting with all sorts of different types of people and ages, I love it. Like, I definitely didn't experience that growing up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Like, it's just, and small town Italy, he definitely didn't experience that either. So we love that we're able to raise our kids, our future kids in an environment like this, that's just so welcoming. And I feel like Las Vegas too, we have so many hotels and it's such a hospitality environment too. Mm-hmm. That something is so great for us. We love that environment. And I think it definitely speaks to the culture here in Las Vegas. So
yeah. And do you personally have a favorite type of cuisine that you love cooking?
You know what? I don't know. We kind of just are eclectic. We love to, of course, Italian. We always have sauces and pasta. That's just so easy. I feel like a go-to that we always make, we do tacos, like whatever meat's in the fridge. And then we'll just do different types of tacos, toppings, if it's kind of more of an Asian flair with like a teriyaki or soy, cabbage, or we'll do, shrimp and pesto, just we kind of do a little bit of everything. So, tacos are always pretty easy. We can always make something up.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So so just diving a little bit deeper on that, on the taco situation. So, what do you do for tortillas? Like, what are different variations, or do you just always have the corn tortillas, or?
Yeah, we do. We have corn tortillas. We always have flour tortillas as well. And then there's also something called a piadina in Italy. So it's like their own sort of tortilla. And it's just like a really thin piece of kind of like flat bread. And you can put different types of charcuterie, arugula, different types of aiolis inside. And it's really good. It's essentially, they don't do like a formal wrap like we do. It's kind of more like a cone. But piadinas are really nice. And it's kind of like a taco essentially, but Italian style.
That's cool.
That sounds
Kelly
delicious.
Loves tacos. And if you were going to say a memory from childhood, is there was a place by us that had Taco Tuesday. And Kelly was a very tiny, small child through teen. And that girl could pack away like 10 tacos. Kelly, do you still have the love of tacos?
Yeah, we're recording this on Valentine's Day, and my husband and I have a long tradition of eating tacos on Valentine's Day. It's something that, like, when we were younger and in college, we didn't have much money. It's such a cheap and easy thing to make. And to your point, now with everyone's busy lives, it's very easy. My two children when Wes, who's now 12, was in kindergarten and you had to fill out what food you hated, he said tacos. And it was a stab in the heart. Fast forward to now where I've clearly beat them down into tacos. And so they love tacos. And so that's an easy go-to. And also it's one of those where I feel like it's a very flexible meal, right? If you don't like olives, don't put them on, right? And so everybody can make it a little bit of their own, which is what I like to. I still do, and if my girlfriend Kathleen is listening, the taco seasoning, the out of the packet taco seasoning is still with some meat is my favorite, but we have done variations. We are really obsessed with kimchi right now. So even just doing a beef bulgogi and some kimchi on a taco, killer.
It really is. Yeah, absolutely. Pickled onion, all that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because hearing your story, right? You go from going to school, managing, a property in Vegas, which in hospitality, right? You said 300 employees, that's kind of the height of things for you. Then you're pouring water.
Yeah.
And then now you're an entrepreneur. That to me, it sounds like you've taken a lot of risks, right? I'm quitting this. I'm going to live with my parents and find a better balance in life and look for love. So tell me about kind of what do you think in your family of origin or your childhood or history kind of encourage that risk taking and ultimately being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think being the oldest of, 5, and I just always kind of was I just always was going for things. I never was really scared to take risks. I would get stomach aches before the first day of school and that kind of thing, just for, being nervous. But I would always, once I started feeling comfortable in whatever I was doing, I always was looking for the next thing to go to. So, whether it was when I was in high school, we had a block that we were able to go and work off campus. And I applied for a job at the Italian restaurant in Raleigh. And I took 2 hours every day or every other day, and I would go and cook at the restaurant. And once I finished one station, I was ready to learn the next station. And I feel like that's just kind of gone through as I've aged. I loved culinary school. I loved pastry, but I really wanted to get to know the management side of it because that's how you run a business. So also I had student loans I had to pay off, and pastry doesn't pay the bills. So that's kind of why I went through the management aspect of it, and I really wanted to learn that because I feel like I could always go back to pastry. Not saying that people have amazing talents and they learn for years how to, do the perfect pastries, but I really wanted to do front of house. I thought that was really going to help me through in my career in the future. And yeah, so I've always wanted to learn new things. When I moved to Las Vegas, I started as a minibar manager. So so 3,000 rooms in the Cosmo. And I started as assistant manager, moved up as regular manager of the whole department. And then I knew after a year and a half, I was like, okay, I want to learn something else. So that's when I switched to bars. So there were front bars and service bars. So the Chandelier Bar, Vesper, all of those bars. And so we were shift managers, and there were 300 employees. And, it was such a challenge because, the health inspection was really intense for that kind of scenario. We had to make sure all of our juices and syrups and everything were labeled and proper. So I think just putting on additional things that I was learning was so, I loved that. But I was now, working 12-hour days, and I just didn't have, like you said, the balance of life. And so that's what I was now going to challenge myself with was, okay, I have all of these, experiences, and I've really done a great job of living life, but I'm missing something. And I always knew I wanted to be a mom, and I always knew I wanted to be a wife, but I really, I had put all of that on the sidelines. And I don't know why, but I just felt like I needed to for myself to kind of put all of that on hold and not really focus on that aspect, because I feel like when I do something, full on, I don't, I don't halfway do anything. So I wanted to be a manager. I wanted to do front of house. I wanted to, do a lot of traveling, and I was able to do all of that before I moved back to Maine. And then I think it's just, the right timing to meet Nico. And of course we were married in 7 months. So, I knew when I wanted to be a mom, it was going to be challenging just to be a mom because, I had so much work in my background. So I think that's the biggest thing so far I've had is turning off like the entrepreneur and just being like in the moment with Constance. Because, I would say the first 6 months I was, just strictly, we hadn't started the business. So we started about last April is when we really kind of started getting going. So, I was missing that part. Like I love being a mom, but I miss interacting with clients and planning things. And, so that's it's definitely been evolving as I've been a mom, but I really love being an entrepreneur because there's so much to learn right now, like every day, building a website, doing all of these different things. And then also having a wild child. It's never a dull moment, that's for sure. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that's pretty much, I've always challenged myself and really like taken things full force. So that's kind of, yeah.
So it sounds right now, that's what you're saying is like that challenge of getting the balance there. I know Kelly and I are a lot older than you are, and we talk about, at least I feel like I lost myself in motherhood. So I'm so happy that you're doing that early. But I feel like I was like 10 years in motherhood. I was like, where'd Jessica go? I think that is such a challenge for us, right? Is like balancing it where you don't lose yourself. And like you said, you knew when you worked that was going to be like 100%. And so you didn't want to even look for a relationship because you wouldn't be able to, give it your all. And so what do you think helps you like maintain that balance where you're not like, I'm all business and no baby, or I'm all baby and no business? You know what I mean? What do you think kind of helps you?
I would say that it's just, living in the moment essentially, because I am such a planner. Like because we're still nursing. So like when I'm nursing her, like really focusing on being in that moment with her, that quality time. But then, when I have some business to work on and I have to respond to some emails, like being okay with allowing her to play in her playpen by herself and allowing her to have that independence too. I think that's something that's really great for her to learn, even at a year and a few months old. I don't want her to have to cling to me all the time. I love that she's able to play on her own and be confident and, playing with her toys. I think some kids can't do that, or they need to constantly be stimulated by TV. The only thing that we allow her to watch are Italian nursery rhymes and Italian songs. We haven't even started watching anything in English. So she will be
hold back as long as possible.
Yeah. So, her playing by herself for me is huge. And initially it was hard, because she was like, I want attention. I want, but it's something important, I think, for her to learn. So yeah, I think just managing my time too, making sure that, lots of communication between my husband and I for the business, he's great with her. He literally spends so much time with her and allows me to do what I need to do. We have a great partnership in that regard. We know what each of us needs in order to be able to succeed as a business. He knows I'm pretty much all, emails and business aspect of it. And he really does a great job of executing and the menu planning and whatnot. So I think that's been the biggest thing, is just us learning how to manage our different jobs in the company ourselves. So it's funny, like you have a heated business conversation, but we're also husband and wife. So that's another thing we've kind of been learning as well along the way. And
I bet.
Every day is not rainbows and stars and butterflies, but you know what? You love each other at the end of the day. And when an event goes so well or a cooking class was amazing and you get that great review, it's all worth it in the end. And it was just, we care so much about teaching and our product and all of our presentation that that's where the heat comes in, like we want to make sure that shows through to our clients. So I would say that right now too is kind of hard, just juggling, figuring out how to be married and have a business together too. So, and a baby, just throwing it all out there.
Yeah. That is definitely challenging. What keeps you going on those times when you guys do have, whether it's challenges with the business or even as a mom, what keeps you going?
I would say, my relationship with God is definitely something forefront and foremost. So we were both raised Catholic. I did a lot of, it's called Young Life. It's a lot of contact work through, an organization and like just a non-denomination Christian group. And I did a lot of work actually with them when I first lived here in Las Vegas, just because I enjoyed it so much in high school. And I still have a lot of girls that I worked with. Now they're old and doing their own jobs. They were my age when I was here. So it's really been fun to reconnect with them. But yeah, I'm still connected with all those same people. And that's been a great community for us as well. Just because some of them are business owners as well. And I can talk to them about what they do and how they, work with their spouses. And I think building a community outside of, with the same values and morals has been a
support system like that. That's awesome.
Absolutely. So yeah. And some people that we can raise our kids together and we're all on the same page. So it's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that was what keeps me going. We just opened a ghost kitchen and it's a premium rather than a commissary kitchen. So commissary kitchens, essentially caterers utilize them for lots of people in and out, but they don't have to, it's not their space. So it's not as expensive, but the time that you rent them, it's kind of first come, first serve. And people, like I said, people are in and out. You have to reserve fridge space, reserve freezer space. That just wasn't an option for us. We just really didn't want that. So we went more of a ghost kitchen route, which is we're utilizing it in a different way so far. But it's our small little kitchen and we have all of our equipment inside. And we can bring adults in for small cooking classes. And no one touches it except for us. Normally they open for different like restaurant concepts. So just to go menu items. And they do all the marketing for you. So you just literally plug in a monitor and you have Uber Eats and they have someone that comes and sits in the front. And if you can run 5 to 10 restaurant concepts out of your one kitchen. So that's really how people make a good amount of money. But we don't really want to open for service since we want to do more catering events. And the cooking classes. So yeah, right now that's kind of what we're doing. And that's really nerve-wracking in terms of financials, just because it's a big rent a month. It's a lot. And so that on our own, I have been the prayers, I feel at peace because I think that I know we're going to be successful. It's just going to take some time, but the financials, that's what right now, the chance and that's what God keeps us going because otherwise no one's going to pay the bills.
It's a tough industry, and, hearing even I think with COVID and just the change in how people are, how they dine, right, has changed. But it is, what do they say? What percentage of restaurants fail or whatever the first year? It is a very tough business. It sounds like you have a great head on your shoulders though, which is awesome.
Thank you. Well, I just got to keep pushing, right?
I think you have to bet on yourself. You know what I mean? And I think it's just, I know you're talking about prayer and believing in God. And I say very similar to manifesting it. You know what I mean? Where it's I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to have confidence in myself and know that it's going to work. And not that we're just sitting and praying. Obviously we're doing the work and, doing other things as well. But it's you're right. You've got to trust in yourself and believe in yourself and know that you'll be successful.
Absolutely. And then the right people will be placed in our lives at the right moments, because, when we're meant to get busy and we're meant to be full, that's the timing that's for us. So I truly believe that too, as it's not on my time. It's on, it's going to happen when it happens. And I just have to have faith that when it is, it's the right one. So yeah, we're excited.
And when you do, personal chef stuff or like private events, do you use that ghost kitchen now, or do you do stuff at your house, or kind of how does that all work?
Yes. So now that we have the kitchen, we do all of our preparation at the kitchen. And we just essentially, we pretty much cook everything halfway at least or fully. And we pack up the coolers and we bring them over to the client's house. And we finish everything there and plate and execute and serve. And then we pack everything up and the guests are happy and full and we leave like nothing ever happened. So it's really quite a fun experience. And people are floored. They just can't believe that this is what had just happened in, 2.5, 3 hours. So yeah, that's our passion. We really do love that.
When you're doing those private events, how do you guys plan the menu for that? Do you work with the client, or is it just vary depending on who you're working with?
Yeah, it just varies. We really enjoy doing custom menus for people. So, of course, budget always comes into play. Some people are just like, there is none, and we want to go all out. Please have like the specific menu items. I know when we just did escargot a few months ago, people kind of like
fun.
Choose what they want, and then we kind of cater the menu based on them. So definitely not a cookie cutter catering. We do Italian, classic Italian, authentic, not American Italian. So my husband will not make chicken parm or pasta alla vodka. He said, I told him when I first met him, I love Alfredo sauce. He said, who's Alfredo? So, what do you mean, who's Alfredo? That's my cousin. That's not a sauce. No. I'm like, oh my gosh, I went to culinary school. I don't even know this. So, it's a lot of educating clients as well, like why prices are like this, what Italian food is if they request Italian cuisine. So yeah, it's definitely different every client, but it's really fun. We enjoy it. So.
And then you do cooking classes. So in the cooking classes, what's that like? So you have your ghost kitchen space. Where are some other places that you offer those classes?
Absolutely. So we have people ask, my husband worked with one lady. She said she burned water. So he really taught her how to make some basics so she could make things for her family, like a roasted chicken, like a lasagna, just really, things that people really enjoy, but she was really nervous to make on her own. No experience necessary. My husband's very patient that's the one thing people really do say. He's so patient. Like I don't feel dumb when I ask questions. I don't feel dumb when I have no idea what I'm doing and it should be so simple. We've had classes here at our house for adults. He's gone to their house. And now we have the kitchen. It'll be probably, I would say, under 6 people. It's a small kitchen. But yeah, we love no experience, because then we can really do our best to teach the right way. And with kids too, it's so fun because, a lot of times they're not allowed to make a mess at home. It's just another thing mom's going to have to clean up, like stay out, come back when food's ready. I think I remember my mom saying that too when we were little, and I can't blame her with 5 of us. But I think that's the one thing that we love is people coming ready to get their hands dirty, not being afraid to cut the onion or the garlic or the raw chicken. It's something that's, it's not like the best to touch, but, or cut, and they smell, but, especially the onions, the kids and the onions, it cracks me up every time. But yeah, just allowing people to get their hands dirty and be willing to and learn and, go all out. It's so fun for the kids. And then they surprise themselves too. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard through our kids cooking classes, oh my gosh, I didn't like this before. And setting that understanding of, especially at the very beginning of class, like yesterday we made cream spinach, and oh my gosh, so many kids were like, spinach, my mom makes me eat this in my salad, all of these sad faces. That's what we're making. And they turned around at the end of the class and they were like, oh my gosh, I love cream spinach. I didn't know that I like cream spinach. So I'm like, you better go home and tell your mom that. So I think changing their minds about what they thought they didn't like, maybe because they just haven't had it in a different way. And I think that's the most fun for sure. It's just seeing the kids like light up when they're like, oh wow, this is actually really good. So
that's awesome. And how do you guys do you advertise, or how do you kind of, between the cooking classes and the private events, do you get a lot of word of mouth, or, that's part of it too, I think, as starting out, is just, there's a lot of investment that you don't always have the funds to do marketing and a lot of campaign stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we joined the Vegas Chamber in October. So that's been a great resource for us. The members are really, they're great at helping promote. And I do some Facebook things. I honestly post and ghost because Facebook for me, I don't know. We have a funny relationship. Yeah. And then Instagram too. I've done some ads on Instagram, but we're always on Instagram posting.
Okay.
And then I have Google ads as well. We started probably last summer. Nothing crazy, but just something, if people search, they can find us on catering and private. So that's pretty much where we've kind of gone marketing wise. And I think the personal connection, like you're saying, and people's referrals, that's definitely been the best that we've seen so far. So it's just going to take time, but we're still just excited. And everyone who, I have some kids that have taken the Sur La Table classes, or the parents, and they just say nothing compares to this. So
that's great. Awesome.
They're pretty much one of our only competition, I think, in the Valley. So
that's exciting.
We're happy about that for sure.
Just like what you're talking about, right? About the kids, when kids are involved in making food, right? I've read that then they become more adventurous eaters, right? Or they're more likely to eat what's made because they're involved in it. Do you have any tips for how you can get kids in the kitchen?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like just, as a parent, just let them make a mess. I mean, I know that's terrifying for so many people that just really love a clean house, but it's only for a short amount of time, and as they are getting more used to being in the kitchen and cooking for themselves or they'll be better at cleaning up after themselves. It's part of what you're teaching them, but initially let them make a mess, let egg get everywhere, let flour go. That's part of the fun. That's how they learn. And same with, let them make mistakes. If they burn something, it's okay. I hope it's not the roast, but if they burn something, that's okay. That's part of the learning process. Even if it's themselves, knives, we have kids cooking or cutting knives that aren't super sharp. They're plastic, but sometimes they'll nick themselves a little bit. That's part of a mistake. It's part of something that they have to learn. Sharp things can cut you. Same with the oven. Let them use an oven, but give them a mat. Let them, so I think supervised mistakes are the most beneficial for them, because then they're not scared about coming into the kitchen. They already know. And then I think too, trying ingredients that you even don't like. So, I didn't like mustard growing up, and it took me a while, but I'm not going to force that opinion on my kid. So if she wants to try mustard, I'm not going to, you know what I mean? I think that's one thing that parents tend to do. And it's not, I think, on purpose, but if you don't like something, then you just don't cook it, or you don't try to share it in the
kitchen. Yeah. You just don't have it. Yeah.
So I think that limits them as well, because they might love it. And then also, so try ingredients you don't like with them, and try to make them different. So maybe you will like them as well. And then I think too, explaining, we do this at the very beginning of all of our courses, it's perfectly okay to change your mind about things you thought you didn't like. So, Chef Nicholas has, over 15 years experience in kitchen. and there's things he's made that I didn't think I liked, but you might like it. So just when you go into our recipes or the weekly recipes that we have, and there's an ingredient that you thought you didn't like, just be open-minded about it. And they tend to be very open-minded. Once you kind of establish that mentality, they're like, oh wow, this is actually really good. So yeah, I would say that just like be open and willing to try new things with your kids, make a mess, and it's okay to make mistakes. Yeah, I would say those things.
I love that. I just made a mistake today when I burned 2 pancakes before I got them right.
Yeah, it happens.
I'm still, yes, I sometimes have some issues with heating up my pan.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's not, it's life. It's okay.
Kelly is actually in the middle of a kitchen renovation.
Oh, yeah.
And Kelly, you'll get a griddle. You can have a griddle now?
Yes, I cannot wait.
Oh, I did not want. So we did our kitchen in 2017, and my husband wanted a 48-inch stovetop or range or whatever. And I was like, I don't want a griddle. And only 2 companies had 8 burners. And I was like, we're not going to use the griddle. Cut to use my griddle all the time. And we have a friend, and a couple years ago, and he's a chef. And I was like, look, I cleaned my griddle. And he was like, oh, Lord, like my griddle was not like, Katie, I wouldn't want you to see my griddle because I don't know if it's up to chef standards, but it is a well-used, family loved.
Yeah, it's seasoned. It's seasoned.
Because I think that's what I told him. I think it was new. And I was like, I seasoned it. And he was like, I don't know what's happening here. I was like, oh, darn it. I'll just put the cover back on and we'll pretend you didn't see it.
No way. That's totally okay. You know what? Better use than not, for sure. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to hear, like you, Kelly and I run our own businesses. And I know you talked about tacos. Do you have a few go-to meals that are quick and simple to get on the table? And then also when you say you whip together tacos, do you always have like a protein cooked in the fridge? That's my second. I know that's kind of like 2 questions. But.
No, it's okay. I would say, I don't know. I mean, having an Italian husband, like there's never not pasta. Like we have so much pasta, in every shape and size. Like there's specific shapes and sizes for each sauce. Yeah. So, we always have that, and we always have sauces in the freezer. We have, right now, we currently have like a pomodoro, so just a regular tomato. We have a tomato and sausage sauce. We always have meatballs. We always have, some sort of pesto in the fridge. So whether it's like a walnut pesto, a sun-dried tomato pesto, or like a basil pesto. And so that honestly is just really easy for us, like that and a salad, a quick salad. And the baby loves pasta, so that's just works out perfectly. And I always kind of have like lasagnas or stuffed shells or something in the freezer too. We could just pop out and put in the oven. And those things are great to prep for any busy family. Just kind of mass make a big, a few aluminum pans with like lasagna, stuffed shells, and pop them out when you need them. And then I always kind of do like a roasted veggie potato kind of mix. So if I do like sausages, or we have like ground beef, and you kind of toss everything together and roast it off, that's really easy kind of to eat on the go. And then, yeah, like I said, tacos, we do typically always have some sort of meat in the fridge. So whether it's like a ground beef, ground bison, we do chicken breast, or a lot of times we buy the whole chicken just because it's less expensive, and we make like bone broth with it. So we always have something, I would say, protein in the fridge. And yeah, we'll make a lot of soups too. So we have a lot of frozen soups. So we like a clean the fridge minestrone. So like everything out and just make a soup. And we freeze those as well, so we can pop them out and like do a panini night, something simple like that as well. Soup and paninis. So yeah, I would say those are a few like pretty simple meals that we always have go to. Yeah.
You just need like 15 minutes. And if you have frozen sauces, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. And that's actually one thing in the Valley that we're going to be starting to offer as well. So we're going to do out of the ghost kitchen, we're going to launch our like a pasta subscription. So we're going to do fresh extruded pastas and fresh pastas, and sauces to go with them. So we have our ribbon cutting on Thursday. And we'll be doing that at the Vegas Chamber. And we'll be Nico's going to do a live pasta station, and he'll have 3 different pastas and sauces that he'll be allowing people to try. We're going to have our cannolis, a few other really yummy things. And yeah, we'll be able to show all the different types of pastas and colors, and it's going to be really a pretty spread. So we're excited about that, and we're going to launch that subscription here soon. Just have to figure out how to put Shopify on my website.
Okay, so it'll be through the website. It'll be through the website then. Oh, that's exciting. That sounds super fun. Wow. I know Kelly's like, I don't know. I'll have to hook Kelly up in some way. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. But when you come visit, I'll try to have some of the freezer.
Yeah, because my brother-in-law for our wedding or engagement gift? He made all the sauces and put them in jars. Like it was just a basket of sauces and pasta. That was amazing, Jessica.
We were broke. You still talk about that. We have
how would people find out more about the subscription service or any events that you guys have? Is it just through following you guys on Instagram is the best way to keep in touch?
Everything pretty much goes through Instagram.
On Instagram, it's Rizzo Hospitality NV LLC. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful, and it just makes me hungry, and I want to go eat. Okay, so you have, and I'm seeing now I'm distracted on Instagram, but you have I see that Nico is using the KitchenAid pasta maker. I'm looking at his pasta maker.
Yeah. So a lot of things coming up that we're really excited about. I think that Las Vegas is growing so much.
Yes.
And I think that it's not stopping. And I think people are going to continue to eat well. And, all of our products too. I know you mentioned that you're gluten-free. And have you tried European flours rather than having any American processed flours?
That is something that I would like to try, some like ancient grains and things like that. And I think I would be okay if it were occasional as well. But yeah, is there a flour that you're thinking of?
Yeah, so I can send you a few different types of brands of Italian flours. So the European Union is very strict on processing, and they don't use any GMOs. They don't use like anything that we utilize in the States for production. It's literally illegal. So a lot of people that, the gluten here in the US inflames, their system. It doesn't happen in the European Union flours because it's just, they're not allowed all of the, chemicals and whatever else they put in our stuff over there. So people who go over there and they travel and they eat like nothing's wrong, they actually are fine. So I'd be really interested to see how that would work for you.
Yes. I was going to say, and Katie, what I'm hearing you tell me is, Jessica, you need to go on a trip to Italy. What's that? I need to tell my husband for my health, right? Like you're saying for my health.
Yes.
Okay. Exactly. So I'm going to put that on my list of things to do. I have to see. I don't think I've been back to Europe since then. So I am interested too. Like, right. You're right. I remember like not really liking beer years ago, but went to Germany and like their beer was like fresh and no preservatives. And like you never had a hangover, and it was so different.
It's like you don't get hungover sometimes with French wine. I feel like European wines.
And Kelly's really been investigating that.
Our sulfites over here, like it's really strong.
It's so many things that are added, right, to the wines.
Yeah. My mom actually can't have any American wines. Like she literally is on, she puts her into a completely different state the next day when she actually has American wines, but she's fine with European. So very interesting too.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then I'm excited. So I would love to, if you can send me those Italian flours, that would be really exciting because it is sad, right? Like when that was a huge part of, like Kelly said, right? And pasta can be inexpensive. And so that was something we lived on for a long time. And you're right. Most kids love it. And it's a very simple meal to put together. So absolutely. And I'm so excited. Your photos and everything are beautiful. I'm so excited. I'm going to be reaching out. I still have a Girl Scout troop So I think that I need to connect with you.
Oh, that's a great idea, Jess.
Have you guys come. I only have 5 right now, so it's I think the perfect number to do a class.
And they're like 14, 15.
Yeah, I'd love to, see what you show the girls. And I think all of this is inspiring and gets me excited. Like Kelly's talking about kimchi. It's like, okay, I need to all of us get in a rut, and it's like, okay, I got to be inspired and add some new things into our family recipes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And Katie, thank you so much for sharing your story. And inspiring us to cook differently. Right, Jess?
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky because I live here. So I get to go to Foodie Land and I get to get the subscription.
True. I might fly in for that. I'll follow up on you with that. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you ladies so much for having me. Appreciate it. And it was so nice meeting you both. And I can't wait to meet you in person. I'm sure it'll happen soon. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening and joining us today.
And don't forget to follow us on social media at Chasing Brighter or on our blog, chasingbrighter.com.